So one of the things that we've been trying to do across the system is reach out to populations that have been traditionally underserved by the university as students. And so I want to highlight a grant made to UH West Oʻahu, and this is focused on veterans. And that's a group that we've really looked at. They make up a substantial part of Hawaii's population, and we haven't traditionally reached out very effectively to them across the state. And this one is particularly exciting. It's from the U.S. Office of Naval Research, and it's to create a program called Veterans Empowered Through STEM. And the idea is to take veterans who have served, who have learned how to function in the community, and to supplement what they have learned with the STEM education to position them to contribute to Hawaii's economy and to their families and communities. It's a great program, and we have something similar at Manoa on which this was modeled. The program at Manoa is focused on veterans to energy careers, and this is something that DoD has been interested in, and we're really happy to be able to participate with them in advancing that. This week we had visitors from the Gallup organization, the famous pollsters, and we had a great opportunity supported by our Strata grant, which I have reported on several times, to participate in what's called the Gallup Purdue Index. And they surveyed about 90,000 of our graduates, UH graduates from across the system. And what's great about this particular survey, well, one is that it was free to us, so that's always nice. But they had benchmarks against other higher education institutions, including some of our peers across the country. And the focus of this is really on quality of life. And this is an area we've tried to understand the impact of our education. Most of the time when I talk with you, it's about who's getting into college, who's finishing college, and this is part of our work. Sometimes it's called purpose, but what is the purpose of getting a college education, and how are we doing with our students who come out? So we've always tried to look at data about income, and that's a pretty simple metric. What this does is it builds on some work by the Gallup organization over decades to look at what they call measures of well-being. So are our graduates employed? Do they have a sense of purpose? How are they doing with social relationships, financial security, relationship to the community? And I'm really happy to report that on all of those measures, UH came out higher, at or higher than national averages on all of them, except, this might not surprise you, financial security. And I think that's attributable to the cost of living in Hawaii and relatively depressed salaries. We are above average in full-time employment, et cetera, across the country. What this survey does further is it looks at what are the things that take place on college campuses that contribute to those things. And so those are matters like, did the graduate have a mentor in school to encourage them? Did a faculty member excite them about learning? Did my professors care about me? So some pretty interesting things. And what the theory of this is that the college that a student attends isn't as important as what their experience is. So this digs into those experiences. We were above average on mentors. We were above averaging on our faculty exciting students about learning. We were just about slightly below on whether my professors cared about me. High rate of employment, and this varies across our campuses, and it's a massive data set. I won't say much more about it, because when you start looking at the data, all it does is cause you to ask questions. If this is something ASA is interested in, Pearl, our Director of Institutional Research and Analysis. But it was very thought-provoking, and we'll be sharing it with the chancellors as well, because the results do vary by campus. I want to highlight a grant which is small. Usually I try to tell you about big ones. This is only $50,000. It's from the Disney Conservation Fund, and it was to UH Hilo. And this is a project out of one of the labs at UH Hilo, which I think has the best acronym, the Listening Observatory for Hawaiian Ecosystems, or LOHE. And this is a grant to support the project to restore the endangered ʻalalā, the Hawaiian crow, into the native environment. So they have been extinct in the wild since 2002. There are captive species available, and in partnership with a number of players at the national level, UH Hilo is working and bringing their particular expertise to this project. And interestingly, it builds on a project they reported on over the summer, where they actually released the genome assembly for the ʻalalā as well. So this is a place where our work on sustainability and our work on indigenous studies really comes together. Kudos to UH Hilo for this work. Finally, from the President's report, some not so positive news. We've reported to you a couple times about our work to try and lease our mauka UH West Oʻahu lands to a developer, a large-scale developer of PV, who would sell that power to HECO. We started out with interest from 6 developers. You had approved us to enter into letters of interest. And first we heard that only 2 of our 6 got shortlisted, and none of them were selected, we were notified. They are expected to commence a second solicitation in about 6 to 8 months. We already have 1 developer interested in using our mauka lands, and that's a possibility. You may recall that that is not the only approach we had in mind for that land, and to use it to advance sustainability for the state and for the university. So we are continuing work on our green tariff filing. We've talked about that in the past. This is an initiative that would allow us to generate power on the West Oʻahu lands, feed it into HECO's grid, and they would deliver the same amount of power to us elsewhere on the island at a lower rate than market rate. And that could potentially, if we can do it for UH Manoa, we would potentially be able to expand it out. So we will continue to keep you posted. We would like to have a PUC filing for the green tariff by the end of the year, but it's a complicated matter to negotiate with HECO, which, you know, well, I'll just stop right there. So that concludes the President's portion of the report.